Okay, so we finally know who it is that actually was coming back, and she was somebody that I actually did think that that actually was. So I was right. And I'm like, come on through, Corky. I'm going up on my soapbox. That's basically it. Let's talk about drag and all its forms. What, Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. This is season 9, episode 2 of RuPaul's Drag Race. This is my review. First off, let's start right up. The person who actually came back is Cynthia Lee Fontaine. And I thought that it might have been Cynthia. Just the stature and the movement seemed like Cynthia. And I was glad to see her back. She's interesting with all her cuckoo. She reminds me of a drag queen version of Charo. She's like a younger Charo. She's very yeah. A little bit of Cynthia goes a long way, which is cool. It's cool. I mean, it works for her. It's good TV. So Cynthia Lee Fontaine is the 14th queen, and a little bit about what ended up happening, which we didn't know. She's season 8. And it was so weird because, it got me right there in the heart, honey, because she's season 8. Season 8 is actually the first season that I auditioned for. And Cynthia was diagnosed with liver cancer throughout the process. And that's why she ended up going home early, is what I'm understanding. She ended up going home early because of the fact that she had been diagnosed with liver cancer. Strangest thing, I didn't get chose, through the audition process, but right around the exact same time as when I got diagnosed with my cancer as well. So it was going right around that July, the summer of season 8. I said, wouldn't you know it? Isn't that's so crazy how that happened? But I'm so glad that she actually got the chance to go back, because I always had said to my mother, it's probably a good thing that I didn't get chosen, because I don't know that things would have turned out the exact same way for me, because I didn't have symptoms where I got sick. I actually was a little uncomfortable with a toothache and went to the hospital, and they found my cancer that way. Had I been somewhere filming the show, things would have went totally different. So I just thought that was really weird. But I'm so glad to see that Cynthia is actually getting a second shot at this, and I'm glad to know that she is actually on the remission team, honey. So kudos to you, Miss Cynthia, and your cuckoo girl. So that made me very happy to see that. I'm down for that. Let's talk about our hosts for VH1 and this whole thing. So Ross, and it took me halfway through the show to figure out that was Yandy sitting there with the blue wig on. So Ross and Yandy from Love and Hip Hop New York, and Wendy. What is the purpose of Yandy and Wendy? Wendy is just I guess we're working off of Wendy's name to bring some viewership in. Because other than that, there's no need for Wendy to be there. That's Ross's gig. And Ross is carrying that gig. And Ross should have that center seat. Wendy just doesn't even need to be there. I'm not going to say that we need to put Wendy on, because it would look odd for Ross to be sitting in the middle and Wendy to be sitting on one of the sides, because she's a bigger star than Ross. She just doesn't need to be there. I don't have any personal reasons about why she shouldn't be there, but she just doesn't need to be there. She's not funny. She's not adding anything to it. She's just not. I mean, this is not the Wendy show, and you're bringing absolutely nothing to the table other than maybe viewership. And if she's bringing viewership, then by all means, I'm here for it, because the bottom line is green, for Rue. So I'm here for it if that's the case. But other than this, I think it's kind of like we're slighting Ross. This is Ross's gig, and Ross is carrying it. Love Ross. But anyway, okay, so scratch that, and let's move on to the workroom. The girls go into the workroom, and of course, there's another surprise. They actually got to meet Lisa Kudrow. And she basically, like Ruth said, I just see my friend Lisa Kudrow. She was on the lot and she stopped by to say hello. So that was really interesting. Really, that's really great. Anytime you get to meet, these stars that do what it is a lot of these children are aspiring to do, it's always a good day. You know what I mean? So to meet Lisa Kudrow, that was really, really cool. And I was here for it. I was definitely here for it. Let's go into what the first challenge is. It was hashtag queer cheers. It was a cheerleading, a whole cheerleading episode. And that's kind of how I felt about it. Like I didn't care about it. It was the girls learned how to tumble and they learned how to build pyramids and basically they learned how to do cheerleading. And whatever. If you're a queen that's not athletic and acrobatic, then were you really going to excel in it? Not really. This was for the Chi-Chis of the world and the Kennedys of the world. Of course they're going to shine. Now, whatever. For the other ones, this is time for comic relief because if you're a big old bumbling, clumsy bitch, then this is your time to go ahead and clown it up. You know what I mean? And they didn't really do that. So as a viewer watching, it really wasn't all that entertaining. I was so happy when they got through that part. I was over it. But we did get to see some of the camaraderie building and some of the shade throwing when they picked their teams because Rue broke them off into groups. The Glamazons versus the B-52 Bombers. B-52s were actually the guests judges for this week as well. So we got Nina was in charge of the Glamazons since she won last week, and Cynthia, since she came back, was in charge of the Bombers. So Nina chose Shea Coulee, Alexis, Aja, Sasha. She chose James Manson, and she chose Charlie Haas. Now, when she chose James, she said she called her the underdog. So this is like this ongoing thing now, is that everybody thinks James is beneath them. So I was like, come on, James, this is going to be your time to shine, girl. You need to break out of whatever this is and shine, because they were on her, on Untapped about like, she's been so withdrawn. You're a comedy queen, and generally comedy queens are loud and boisterous, and they're right in your face. And she's kind of cowering in a corner, so it's kind of weird. So I'm like, okay, girl, this is your time. Let's go to Cynthia's team. She picked Kimura, she picked Eureka, she picked Pheromone, Peppermint, Trinity, and Valentina. Valentina got chosen last. I don't think it was anything really personal, but but what they're doing is they're underestimating Valentina and they're logging her as the pretty girl, the same way that they actually do with Tatiana. You know how we just found out during All Stars, Tatiana's a force to be reckoned with. Well, they're finding out very quickly that Valentina did not come to play games, okay? So you can keep on playing games with Valentina if you want to, but you better open up your eyes and pay attention. She's very, very beautiful, yes she is, but there's some other shit that Valentina has going on as well, okay? She's not your normal under a year drag girl that, she's just been doing it this little bit of a time. Yeah, she's been doing a little bit of a time, but she's picked up a whole lot of skills and a lot of things that's come to her very, very naturally. See, that's the difference between a person who's being made into a star and a person that is supposed to be a star. She is supposed to be a star, and you can't even miss it. So y'all better stop sleeping on Valentina. Anyway, we found out that Peppermint actually was a cheerleader in high school. So that was definitely going to help her. She actually even told a story about being in school and being bullied and beat up, and the school, for the most part, embracing her and giving, no, 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 we're not having that here. You know what I mean? So that was really nice. Um, we found out much more in this episode that Komora Black is a bitch. Hands down, there's no getting around it. She is more bitchy than Gia Gunn ever rubbed me. And you know, Gia Gunn has always rubbed me wrong. Like, I think Gia is beautiful, but she just rubs me wrong because she's so fucking bitchy. Komora Black, not even stomachable. She got on my nerves so bad this episode. And then you're not even backing it up. She literally made a comment when she said that, one, oh, I'm not wearing panties. You know, it's always this thing about your body and this, that thing, and the gets old very, very fast, okay? Playing pretty gets old very fast. Everybody here is pretty in some way, shape, or form, and this is why they do it. So everyone here has that same thing where we all find that we're pretty. At some point, we think that we are pretty in some form or fashion. Okay, so being the small girl doesn't always, that don't mean anything. Girl, look at Eureka. Miss Thing, Eureka will dance circles around you. So, like, really? I mean, like, who cares? So she's getting on my nerves with that. Then the bitch opened her mouth and said they were all stoned in their little costumes and stuff, and everybody was doing their part. I don't like that. I don't like that. She's fussing, fussing, fussing. There was this whining going on. She was just irritated. And then she opened up her mouth and said, stoning is for ugly girls. I don't know how many of you all have HD TVs, but there's a lot of airbrushing that goes on with Miss Komora, honey. When I see her photos, a lot of airbrushing. Miss Komora's skin is not the best, honey. It's very, what will I say, a la Kenya Moore. Yes, that's a double read. Anyway, moving on. So she just went on with all that. But we, like I said, we saw the girls learn lifts and stunts and all of this. Then there was another little piece. Alexis came across a bit bitchy this week. Bitchy and pushy. There was they had adjectives they had to actually work with. Snoozy and floozy was the ones. And James picked first and said she wanted to do floozy, which of course that's her character. Jane, she's basically like Jane Mansfield. Honey, she is very very much that is what her character should be, but she's not committing to that. But that's what she should be giving. So naturally, floozy fit. And so what was left was snoozy for Alexis. Well, Alexis, I don't want snoozy. I want floozy. Too bad. Too bad. So at first, James was like, sticking up and keeping her shit. And then she was just having a rough time. She was bombing. So then she ended up turning around, and Alexis was still being a bitch, and Alexis was riding her hard. You know what I mean? She's just waiting on her to make a mistake, and she just let it take her over, and she ends up turning around and telling her, well, go ahead, you take floozy. Girl, what's the problem? You don't want to win, honey? You don't want to win? And again, they ask you all these questions about, are you competitive? 9 different ways, Rue, and the people, the casting folk ask you, are you competitive? I don't know how you answered those questions, James Mansfield, because you're coming across that you're not a really competitive person, and you're being chewed up and swallowed and spit out by some. So I don't know what that's all about, but whatever. So she ended up not really doing too hot in the challenge. I thought she did camp it up a little bit. She did this somersault across the floor that was a hot mess, honey. She really looked like tumbleweed, honey. It was hilarious. But between that big old ratted hair, honey, and her rolling like that, it looked like tumbleweed. So that was kind of funny. And it was one of them the way the stunt was set up, you would think that she would go over the top. It would be like a flip over the top, and she rolled up underneath the bottom and through the middle, honey. Like I said, like tumbleweed. It was a hot mess. So that was pretty funny. So that was the thing. And then now let's go into their runway. Their runway this week was White Party. And let me say this. I don't know what kind of white party they've ever been to, but I'm going to say this. When it's a white party, I expect white. Because if there's splashes of color thrown into the white party, it fucks the party up and it fucks all the photos up. So when you actually see real white parties, there's nobody there with splashes of colors. If you want to see a white party, go to Google. Go Google Diddy's white party. Diddy threw a sure enough white party every year for I don't know how long. You didn't see people there with splashes of color because, of course, you know Diddy is very much that way, very much as far as his aesthetic, he's as much a queen as I am. And he wants things just like he wants them. You don't see no splashes and pops of color in his white party. Go to R. Kelly's video for In the Name of Love, Step in the Name of Love. He had a white party. There's no specks of color. The only specks of color that you should see at a white party are silver and gold. And that's the hardware on the clothing. Silver and gold. That's it. None of this, like Eureka's outfit was nice, but baby, you got this black fur stole. It stuck out like a sore thumb. And I said, and then she had some other black in with her outfit. So I wasn't a fan of any of that. Anybody's outfit that wasn't completely white or silver, I wasn't feeling it. I thought Cynthia Fontaine's gown was fabulous. It worked. She had there was iridescent stones everywhere. Very pageant. It worked. That was fine. The iridescence is fine because it looks like glass. So that's fine. But I had to throw Eureka out for me. That black, I threw that out. I didn't care for it. Kimora was the worst by far. She literally had, again, here we go again with this torn up bodysuit. Again, the bodysuit with the pieces missing. And then she had the patriotic type of bra. The bra was like the flag, like the blue piece of the flag. Honey, it's a white party. Why do you have that blue bra on? Why? And then she had this studded red, white, blue hat on. And then she had gold, like all this bold gold chains and gold gloves. It did definitely look like she was going to go work the track. I was like, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. That was completely wrong. Completely wrong. So, no. Didn't care for it. Didn't care for it at all. So that was one of the looks. Like I said, Cynthia Lee Fontaine looked gorgeous. James Mansfield, I liked her look because she came in the full character. She basically came looking like Jane Mansfield. So I was here for it. It was all white and cheap and cheesy. And she finally got that together on the runway. She even had the little I suck cock pumps, honey. I said, girl, look at them little pumps, honey. They was flip-flopping on her foot. I said, girl, you better get it, honey. Look like, remember the old Barbie doll pumps? That's what the old I suck cock pumps, honey. Let's see, who else? They went up about Valentina. Okay, and Valentina actually won the challenge. She won the challenge and she won the cheerleading thing because I guess she stayed in this really silly, campy movie cheerleader thing the whole way through. So she definitely deserved that. And her look was almost flawless. She had on nude shoes as opposed to white shoes, but she came in a wedding gown. I didn't understand it. When's the last time you were at a white party and seen somebody standing around in a wedding gown? So I didn't get that at all. And she gave a story about what she was inspired by her mom's wedding and, where she comes from. Her mother was literally known as the most beautiful bride for years. And the look was flawed. I mean, she really did look breathtaking. But again, the category was white party, not white wedding, white party. The wedding gowns are only good for wedding challenges. I don't want to see a wedding gown because somebody called for white. That's like a cop out to me. You know, just like just because you say you're from Las Vegas, all of a sudden you got to wear a feathered headpiece. Like, it's a cop out. And that's what Pheromone's outfit, flawless. Pheromone looked flawless, but it's what she should have actually wore last week to represent Vegas. But she came in, sure enough, stomped down Las Vegas showgirl and beat to death. Beat to death. I was really happy with her look. Her and Cynthia were my favorites. They were my favorites on their runway. The other ones were just And Trinity had a really nice jumpsuit, real cute and real fashion forward, but it just kind of fell flat from everything else. Fell flat for me because, again, like I said, I've been following Trinity on Instagram, and I've seen Trinity do some looks that were out of this world. So I'm like, come on, what are you doing, Trinity? What are you doing? I don't know. Sometimes you get caught in your head, and I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but I'm like, no, Trinity, I've seen you much better than this. But the jumpsuit was flawless. It was a nice jumpsuit, but the hair and the makeup, it did knock me out. It looks like she's not being her. It looked like she's being, when you fall into that trap of being what you think they want you to be instead of being you. Come on, Trinity, get back to being Trinity, because Trinity, girl, she's fierce. I'm telling you, if you look at some of the looks that Trinity turns out, even with her being a bitch, I'm willing to work with her and some of her bitchy ways, because the bitch turns out a fierce look. I'm telling you, I've seen some things come across that IG screen, and I'm like, this bitch, honey, you better do it. So I don't know what's going on, but I'm confident she's going to get it together. Shea Coulee wasn't bad either, honey. Shea Coulee gave me Black Barbarella, honey. I said, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It was given Black Barbarella. I was living for the hair and all of that. And again, it was like the futuristic bodysuit, but the hair and the makeup, she gave me Black Barbarella. I was here for it. Totally here for it. Okay, so anyway, let's go down. Valentina won. The bottom was Kimora and James. And we're going to talk about that. But let's talk about Rue. Let's talk about Rue. Is it me, or did Rue gain a little weight? And look, I don't have a problem. See, I'm a big girl, so I don't have a problem with the weight. Yeah, I think she looks nice. But it looks like Rue gained a little weight, and I noticed that the house lights have been turned up real high again. Remember how the house lights used to be turned up real high back in the beginning days? Looks like the house lights got turned up real high, and I can see Rue being a little self-conscious if he's gained a little weight, but I think it looks great. I really do. I think it looks great. Because Rue is a very thin girl. And it just looks like she's gained a little weight and like she's padded a little heavier. But I think she looks great. Still shapely as hell and beautiful. I'm cool with it. But is it just me, or does it look like the house light's been turned up a little bit and Mama then put on a little pound or two? And it's cool. It was cool. But that's just what I saw. Just observation. But I'm going to disagree with Mama Rue, honey, this go round here. I'm going to disagree. They did Love Shack. And I wouldn't give a goddamn what anybody says. I feel like James Mansfield slayed Miss Kimora in the Love Shack little lip sync for your life. Neither one of them were, I wouldn't have threw a 20 to neither. But I'd have definitely gave James a 5. I wouldn't have given Kimora anything. Kimora was trying to give me Sex Kitten. Because, again, I think that is her box that she sits in. And I don't think we're going to see anything more from her. I think she's going to do that Sex Kitten thing. I think that's who she is. As far as I see, that's who I see and what I see. So that's what she gave. I wasn't impressed. It didn't go with the song. James was camped out. And, sometimes it just falls that way, that sometimes whatever you wore for the um, the runway just happens to fall in place with what the lip sync song is, and that's kind of when the planets kind of line up. But for some reason, Rue wasn't seeing it. But her look and everything was given. She could have been the extra member of the B-52s, and I lived for it, honey. I really did. Even when she started, doing the man parts, like, "Little Shack, baby." I said, "Oh, look at her, honey," and I was cracking up laughing. I was laughing at James, and I couldn't take my eyes off James. So I don't know how they thought Kimura won. And I guess they probably were just going on an overall and who's going to bring more, who's going to be better for TV going forward is all I could see. But I didn't agree. I didn't agree with that. I would have been okay if she had sent them both home as opposed to just, I didn't think Kimura should stay, but whatever. Who am I? James Colwell, that's who, honey. But anyway, that's all I have to say for this episode. That's episode 2. Untucked, nothing really to talk about. The girls are starting to see. I told you all before, I like my big girl, but her mouth is starting to get the best of her already. Yeah, and the girls Eureka's starting to get on their nerves already. So, pardon me. Chill out a little bit, Eureka. Pull back just a little bit, baby. Don't do the main pageant queen thing, because I don't think they're having it. Because I think it was James that told her to shut up. Told her, "Yeah, you shut up for a little bit." I was like, "Ooh, shit." And James is 52 years old. She's over that hump of, girl, fuck all that. I ain't worried about hurting your feelings. I'm gonna tell you, shut up, bitch. So pull back a little bit, Miss Eureka. You'll be okay. All right, so that's it. That's all I got. I will talk with you guys soon. All right, bye.